Hey guys, this is my first real intro in about 3 weeks. July 11th, I put up Miguel's episode, and that was the last live intro that I did with lots of updates. That was a cool day because that was July 11th, and that was the first day of my radio show. So on Tuesdays, I host a radio show on 90.1, Concrete Hamilton, KSVU. I host a radio show on Tuesdays from 6 to 8, and it's so much fun. It's called This Song Will Change Your Life, based on a scene from Garden State. Really great movie if you haven't seen it. And yeah, I just have guest hosts on every week. It's fun. They play songs that are important to them, and they explain why they're important to them. So it's kind of a mix between just like a regular music radio show and Skagit storytellers. I love it. Every Tuesday from 6 to 8. Today, I should be getting this out today. Today, I'm going to have Cascade Cody as my guest, and he's going to hopefully play some stuff. If not, we're going to play his songs anyway. And then we're going to talk about his album release party at the Hub. So on Friday, August 4th, Cody's going to be playing at 8 o'clock with Wes Jones. It's going to be so much fun. I'm pretty sure the bar is going to be packed. Come on out, have some food, have some drinks. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fun night too, because the next day is Birdstock. Birds View Brewing does Birdstock every year, a fundraiser for the local fire department. Hi, Howard. And it's going to be a blast as well. So it's kind of fun that there's two big fun events upriver. I think I've said fun like 10 times. I'm not going to redo this. I'm kind of over that. So really quick stuff that's been happening. My calendar run finished on July 22nd. I ran 22 miles in Crocs that day. I had a blister on my right heel that was excruciating. It was really bad. It was not a regular blister. It looked like it was going to get infected soon. So before I really took a look at it, I thought, you know what? I feel okay in Crocs. Let's run in Crocs. So I ran 22 miles in Crocs. Well, I ran 14 and then I walked the rest, to be honest. I did that, and then the next day I woke up and really looked at the blister and thought, I probably shouldn't be running anymore. So I ran 235 miles in 22 days. A couple days I did not make my goal. So yeah, that's it. I'm proud of myself for attempting it. It's really hard. My buddy Ryan Lang did the calendar run in April. Ryan, you're amazing. I'm proud of you. And I love the consistency though. I've never ran for 22 days in a row. So I definitely want to start that, doing something consistent every day for a month. I don't know if it's running for a mile, running for a 5K every day, just doing something every day just to practice that discipline and consistency. So we'll see. It's August 1st, so I have to decide on what I'm going to do and start something today. Today I'm taking Olive to Anacortes. She's in a string camp. She started the violin yesterday and she loves it. Oh, I'm so excited. So happy for her. So that's really fun. I've never really been to Anacortes very often, to be honest. And so it's been fun getting to know, more people there and walking around, on Commercial. We're actually going to be having a book signing in Anacortes. I'm not going to release the details yet because we haven't figured them out yet, but her fan club is going to be very excited. There's a group of middle schoolers that really love her book, The Pickle. The trilogy is finished, and it's really interesting because we started writing her pickle books when she couldn't be active. Olive was diagnosed with a rare form of juvenile arthritis. It was early October officially, but they were suspecting a lot of things in early September. So it's been about a year since everything started happening. It was mid-August when she started exhibiting symptoms, and she couldn't climb. Climbing was like the thing that she did 4 days a week. So when she couldn't do indoor climbing at the gym, we pivoted and we started doing books. We started being creative. And so it's interesting how she's in medical remission and she's down to an infusion every 3 weeks. They're probably going to call it soon and just be done with everything. It's been about a year and the trilogy just finished. So the trilogy is just this reminder to me that, you know, we can do really hard things. And when things kind of don't go your way, you can pivot and figure it out and maybe do something different. So I'm really proud of that kid. We're going to be actually doing another pickle book. It's not part of the trilogy though. but it's going to involve Pickle's best friend who's visiting from college. And Pickle's best friend is a Bigfoot. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're also involved in Skagit Bigfoot Fest. And it's a 2-day festival at the end of September. And there's going to be live music, things for kids. There's going to be lots of vendors. I'm going to be there as part of Skagit Storytellers. I'm kind of torn as to what I want to do. Part of me wants to have a setup like I do here, where I have 2 mics. I have a guest sit down and we talk. But then also the idea was brought up that maybe I should do like a man on the street type thing, where I walk around the festival with a camera and a mic and talk to people. The only thing that's holding me back is that I've never done that before. And I don't know what that entails, or, if I'd be good at it or anything like that. So we'll see. I think I'll do it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it entails. So there's a whole bunch of bands that are coming. The Olsen Brothers Band, Silk Road, Charlie Parton, Panda Conspiracy, trying to think off the top of my head, Enchantrix, Cascade Cody, one of my friends, King Youngblood, Fortress of the Bear. I heard they're amazing. Just so many. Oh, Michael David, another favorite of mine. So it's only $10 to get in, which, you know how Facebook always, the algorithm shows you what you've been looking for all the time. Well, I'm constantly getting festival links to festivals in the area, like Pacific Northwest festivals, and tickets to these festivals, I kid you not, they're like $200. Nothing is below $100. They're usually either $150 or up to $250. And I'm thinking, I can't believe ours is only $10. So you have to come out to the Skagit Fairgrounds at the end of September, so 29th and 30th. And they're still looking for sponsors and people to help out. So just shoot me an email. I can put you in contact with someone. Anyway, so Olive's going to be selling her pickle books, but she's also going to be making a special pickle book that has a Bigfoot in it. So that'll be really fun. I think I might have Skagit Storytellers merch too. I don't know. We'll see. I have a lot going on. Okay, so this episode is probably the hardest one I've ever recorded. I was really nervous to edit it and then send it to Heidi and have her say, "Oh, no, like you ruined our amazing talk," or something like that. But she said she loved it. And I was so grateful to get that email. When I sent it to her, I didn't really look at my phone for a few hours because I was nervous to get that response that said, "I don't like it." But she loved it. So just a little bit of a backstory. Heidi and I both teach in Edison, or for Burlington Edison, and that's where we met. And we talk about this in the episode, but Heidi's husband Ted passed away unexpectedly a few months ago. And so we actually recorded, I want to say a few weeks after he passed away. I noticed she was very open about talking about it. I texted her and I said, "Do you want to sit down and talk? We can record. I don't even have to publish this. You could just keep the recording for you and your family, or I could publish it, or whatever. It's completely up to you. Let's just sit down and record and see what happens." I've never done anything like this, so like I said, I was very, very nervous. I loved it. We didn't cry as much as I thought we would. Definitely had kind of watery eyes most of the time. You can tell I'm kind of awkward in it, and I thought about pulling out some of those parts, but I didn't. That's what it was, and I can't thank Heidi enough for coming over. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Coming over and trusting me with sharing some stories of Ted. And there was one part that really kind of that hit me when we were recording, and when I was listening to it, it hit me again and again. And I've thought this before too. And Heidi was sharing that Ruby said to Heidi once, "I can't believe that you have a dad and I don't." It's always hard for me when I meet someone and they're quite a bit older than I am, and I find out that they still have a mom. It's hard. But that's why every day I do what I do, and I pour into that kid that I have, because you never know. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and thank you again to Heidi for letting me record with her and to put this out. And as always, go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
The first time I met you, I must have been teaching
at
LU.
Yeah.
I think we know each other more through Gleaners than anything else. And I'm surprised I haven't even brought up Gleaners yet, because I talk about it all the time with everybody. And I need to have Morgan on to talk about it.
Definitely.
Because just a few friends here and there I've noticed in the last few weeks just talking about, the financial strain that they're under. And if you were talking about it, a lot are going through it. And I think that Gleaners is like...
It's a magical place.
It
really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every Sunday, that's my go-to place. I mean, it's what got me through the pandemic. I mean, being locked down and being able to go there.
Oh, volunteering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just having like a family group, a community when you couldn't have a community. The wide variety of people that go there is amazing.
Yeah, because to some extent, like, you can choose the type of people that you hang out with. But when you're in that environment...
You don't have a choice.
You never know.
No.
Did you want to just start with the story of how we got here talking about grief? And
I guess the last couple of weeks I've been just trying to navigate a new world that I haven't... my mom passed away at the end of 2016.
Oh, did she?
And so I had to navigate that.
Was she local? Like you guys were close?
No, she was in Illinois. So
okay.
I had to, just figure out, it was a sudden thing that happened, and then being with her, but then coming back here and then feeling like I had squandered some time that I could have stayed there with her. You know what I mean? When she was deteriorating, I didn't realize how fast it was happening. And then just not realizing that the time that I had would have been better spent being with her and not here teaching. In fact, I remember that it was at Edison that I realized that I was teaching an art lesson about, I don't remember, maybe it was like some kind of Christmas windows in Germany. And it was a first grade class. And I thought, I don't know why I'm here doing this. Wow. This is not the place I should be. I should be at home. But I always have this sense of responsibility that, I have a job, I have to do it, I can't let people down.
Did your mom instill that in you?
No, I think it was a combination of my mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's a Midwest thing for sure. I feel like it's a Midwest thing. But
were you born in Illinois?
I was born in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Although I figured out that I've lived here longer than I was in Illinois. So
yeah.
Anyway, so I came to the realization that I needed to go home, and then went home and was, spent time with her when she got the diagnosis of stage 4 lung cancer. And it was basically the next day that she passed away. So probably a lot of that had to do with she had trouble breathing, and she had trouble getting around because she couldn't breathe. But once she found out what it was that was wrong, I think that was it. She just gave up because she knew she couldn't overcome that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it was a diagnosis. In fact, one of the things that she would always say when I would call up and say, I don't feel, I feel, don't label it. She would always say, don't label it. So I think what really, sealed the deal for her was that she got a label, and then she didn't know what to do. So, she didn't think that she could overcome it. Well, that was the thing, is that Ted found out that he had a mitral valve prolapse. But he kept, and he at first was like, I don't know if I want open heart surgery. I don't know. But then kind of became resolved, and okay, I need to do this. In fact, at one point he said my mom would have wanted me to do this. Oh. And, but all along he kept saying, I can do this, but I know that there's more wrong with me. And he didn't know what it was, and he hadn't had a lot of tests done, but he knew that. And so I think that whatever was going on in his body, he was definitely powering through. And he was like one of the strongest and most stubborn people that I've ever known. Really. The best example of this is that we had a tree taken down in our yard, and there was a shed to the left side of the tree. And I'm talking about not just one of those like little flimsy sheds that you get from Lowe's. I mean, this is like a full-on built shed with like huge dimensions and filled with things. And I came home that day and he had moved the shed from one part of the yard to the next. I mean, it was like a small house. And I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, because that was the other thing. He was really smart. So he probably like figured it out like with physics, like how he could use a couple boards to move this shed like all the way like to another part of the yard. And I mean, but he did that stuff all the time. And I'm like, oh, do you want help moving that, or do you want help doing this? I mean, he would rearrange the whole house when I'd be at school or whatever. And I mean, I just had no idea how he did it. It seemed like he would have had to have like a lot of people helping him, but he did it all himself. So
very independent.
Very independent. So.
What did he do for work?
So he started off as a drafter for a timber frame company, and then kind of morphed into doing like just odd jobs for people around the neighborhood and people through those people. And he definitely was the person who maintained the household. And I'm coming to terms with that now because, like now it's like I come home from work and, well, wait a minute, we don't have that. Nobody shopped that, or, nobody dealt with that animal or dealt with, and I do not keep up yards. And even my really good friend said to me, you're going to have to like do all this now. And I'm like, yeah. So the other day when I was mowing the lawn, it was like the first cutting and I was getting so bogged down and I was just so embarrassed. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I've mowed the lawn growing up in Illinois at my own house, but this was like, and I've mowed this lawn before, but not ever the first one. And so I was just like thinking, oh my gosh, all the neighbors are probably looking at me just, trying to get up all these hills and everything. But I'm going to have to have my friend come over and identify what are weeds and what aren't, because I just have no idea, because everybody comes over all the time and they say, oh, your yard is so amazing. And I just always say, nothing of this is me. I mean, so, and, I've come to appreciate it, but I've just, not done a lot. So it's going to be a test for sure.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes CJ he went away for like a 5-day softball tournament and a bunch of stuff kind of fell apart. Right. I'm like, make sure you do all this stuff before you leave. And then when you get back, you'll have to do it immediately again. Exactly. Yeah. But I always think, oh, I can't do this. And he's like, it's garbage day and recycle day. Don't forget. And I'm like, oh, geez. But then when it comes to it, we figure it out. Yeah. But it's just the thought of, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this. But then when you actually have to do it, you figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, speaking of that, so he was also a woodworker and he put up all the things on the wall. And so Edison gave me that amazing mosaic for the window. And so I wanted to hang that up this morning, and I was going through his tools and all of his like nails and screws and everything, and it took forever to find the exact thing. And then there was a little bit of not swearing, but definitely some heavy sighs trying to make sure that it was perfect. But now it is. So
yeah, nice.
It's going to be a lot of trial and error, I think.
Yeah. And you guys have done a lot of hiking lately.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, in fact, that's how I knew that something was wrong, because we were on a really mellow hike, and he was, he just couldn't do it, and he had to stop. And the thing about Ted that was really kind of unusual, it probably goes along with that stubbornness, is that like I try to work out almost every day somehow, like go to the gym, do whatever, and he never does. I mean, he'd walk the dog or he'd work in the yard, which was probably a lot of hard work, but never like really ran or walked or whatever. And so anytime that we would go on a family hike, he would blow us all away. I mean, just like totally. And so a couple of years ago, he and my son and I went to South Sister, and we were going to hike it. And then my son decided, oh yeah, I've had really hard work weeks, so we're not going to do it. So we didn't really eat a good breakfast. And then we started to just do a little bit of the hike, because it's like, oh, well, we'll just go on a little bit of this. And then all of a sudden, Max got it in his head. Nope, I want to hike it. I was like, no, you don't understand. I need to be mentally and physically prepared. And then sure enough, Ted, I couldn't make it. It was like the altitude and all this, and Ted made it all the way to the top. And that is a super, super hard, challenging hike. And I just was like, I was so proud of him for doing that day because, so that was really cool. They got to share that experience together. I took a lot of pictures, and I have, these are the people who finished South Sister, and then there's me who didn't. But yeah.
So was it like you were saying recently you've been hiking, and his breathing?
Yeah, he just couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't. He had to stop because So, I was like, you better go get that checked out. Something's going on, and he said, and I said, do it for me, do it for the kids, and do it for yourself, because something's wrong. Because usually this is nothing. I mean, it's not even that much of an incline. So he did. He went and he checked it out, and he had AFib, and then he didn't know, which he probably had all along, knowing him. And then his heart rate was just racing so high that they knew something was going on. I mean, it was like his resting heart rate was over 200, and that's like. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so they wanted to take him to the emergency room, and my daughter and I were away for my dad's 80th. And so he did not want to go to he also didn't like hospitals. He didn't like, he just was, I don't know, he just had a fear of all that. And so he said, okay, well, I'm going to go out, and then he just went out to his car and came home. He's like, he fled because he didn't want to.
Oh, wow.
Because I wasn't there, and he wasn't sure that the contact information was there. And so he went home, and then a good friend of mine, I called her up that lives in the neighborhood, and I said, hey, can you go over there and check on him? And so she kind of like watched over him that weekend, which was, I mean, that's just such, it's a luxury to have people in the neighborhood and just friends that can do that, that you trust.
Yeah.
So then after that, it was just a series of, going to the doctor, figuring out what was wrong. He spent some time in the hospital, which again, he didn't like that. But I was there with him, and, but yeah, and then everything just happened really suddenly. So
yeah.
Well,
I was just thinking, when I had Olive, like, midwives and doulas are so, it's like you always have a midwife, or you have someone there to advocate for you. So I can't imagine going to the hospital and having something scary like that and then not having anyone with you. Like,
so that's why he knew that wasn't going to be a good situation. And speaking of that, for a situation like going to the hospital and being in the hospital where he didn't feel comfortable, of the 3 days he was there, he had one nurse that he absolutely, I mean, she was one of those kind of people. She actually reminded me of a teacher, because she cared so much about him, and she had come out of retirement to just work once or twice a week, and she even said, and it's people like you who I'm here for, because she was an advocate for him. She said, this is all up to you, and we're not going to do anything that you don't want us to do. And when he got home, he mentioned something about her. He said, I didn't like the hospital at all, but if I hadn't gone to the hospital, I wouldn't have met Mary Jane. And so I wrote her a card, and I told her after he passed away, I wrote her a card, and I was just like, you have to know the impact that you had. I mean, you made all the difference in the world for potentially a really awful situation for him. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I figured she needed to know. I mean, you know how we get teacher notes from kids. Yeah. I mean, and we love them. I mean, it's kind of like that, right? You need to know that what you're doing is really making a difference. Yeah. Actually, I get the most inspiration on Sunday mornings because nobody's out. Oh, okay. Just even walking in my neighborhood, that's when all my good thoughts come. Yeah. But you were saying about how the nurses or the people have to do that after a hard day. So that was kind of the thing when, how teachers you get 5 days for bereavement, right? So you get 5 days. It's kind of like the COVID window, right? You get 5 days to heal. I mean, but they do, say that you can take more time if you need it. Yeah. But what I was noticing is that when I was at home, that was the hardest place to be. One, because you're surrounded by all the memories, and two, because people just drop by and they mean well. And I love that people did come by, but just having to like retell the story over and over and over again, and having my kids there and having them have to listen to it. Going back to school was the best thing. I mean, just because it was healing. I mean, like teaching the kid, and I figured, like kids will always say something that's, like that they don't mean it, or they don't know what they're saying or the impact. But I felt like even if some kid said something that was really out there that would hit a nerve, nothing like that happened. And kids were just amazing. And just me being able to like do something creative, that was really, I mean, that was the best. It still is the best medicine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just really, that's what I kind of learned, because there was one day where I had to take him to an appointment, and I just was feeling like I need to not be here. And I went and talked to one of the secretaries, and I said, I need a judgment call right here. And she's like, don't even think about it. You need to go. And I feel like I really learned throughout my mom's process and this process that, you know, people really rise to the occasion when it comes to support. And when my mom passed away, I hadn't really had any major death affect me. And I remember being in the basement of the church, because they did a service where everybody in the family who could play an instrument played in this concert. So like Ruby had just flown in, got with her trumpet, and they were playing Amazing Grace. I mean, it was like really cool.
Oh my gosh. And
going to the basement for the, you know, the coffee or whatever, the cookies, and I was like, I don't know what to say to people. Like, and it was just interesting because people knew what to say to me. Like, I learned through them. I mean, like, it wasn't awkward. Like, people knew what to say. Nobody was like standing off to the side. Oh, I don't know what to say, which was what I felt like before. Like, sometimes when people would pass away, I wouldn't know how to write a card, and it would take so long that it's kind of like a thank you note. If you don't get the thank you note right when you need to, it's like it's almost too late. And this was the same thing. It's like, oh, I can't write this now because it's too late, and it's past the point of actually making an impact. And through my mom's experience, I realized, and then after that, it's like almost like every time somebody would have a death in the family, I would just know better what to say. And through this process, this has been like the most amazing outpour of support and help, and it's amazing. And so like I just have a totally different perspective than I had before about death, and just about how, you know, and my daughter said it really well. She said, you know, Mom, everybody goes through it at some point. And it's just like, you know, because she's only 22, and she's, you know, she made the comment, she's like, one night, and she's, I can't believe that you still have a dad and I don't. And she's like, but if I look at it in a perspective of I'm paving the way, and so like I can be a support for other people because they haven't experienced it yet. And I thought that was a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got you up there. No, because I've met people who are older than me and they still have a mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Like my last grandparent, my mom's mom, actually, she just passed away recently, and it's like, how did you get that many years? Like,
yeah.
But I always say, you know, we were talking about some kids earlier who didn't have the greatest childhood, and, you know, I could have been raised in like a broken home, or, you know, I didn't even know my mom or whatever, and I had the most perfect mom for so long. So like, it's, you know, and she taught me enough to raise Olive. So it's like, I'm so thankful for that. And I'm sure I still would have had this energy, but I think about my mom every day and how like, I got to pour into that kid because I don't know like how long I'll be here. And so definitely gives you some perspective for sure. Because Ruby's 22.
Yeah.
And Max
is 26.
Right. So I'm trying to think how old they were when your mom, were they close with your mom?
Pretty close. I mean, as close as you can be for living, you know, distance. But they were close, definitely. And Ruby, that was really sad because she and I were both supposed to fly out. I think it was a Friday, and then I decided to come earlier. So then I was there when my mom passed away. But Ruby was actually boarding the airplane.
Oh wow!
And so like, or maybe she had just gotten dropped off at the airport, and so I had this whole, you know, conundrum of, do I say anything or just let her? Cause so when she arrived, it was the first thing that she heard. So that was really tough.
Yeah.
You know, that was tough. Really tough. Yeah. Yeah. And then my son he wasn't there, and he was in classes and everything. He was at WSU, so it was really hard for him to even call to the hospital. So that was really, unfortunate and sad. But he spent a lot of time with her doing things. They would go to Arizona for spring training. My dad and my mom would take Max, so he got to spend a lot of quality time. Yeah, that's the most important thing at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember she was only in the hospital probably for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. And people were coming and going, and I couldn't leave. I said, I'm not leaving no matter what. I'm just going to stay here. And my dad left. My brother left, which was really unfortunate because my dad, I think they were both, maybe my brother was there when she finally passed, but I know my dad wasn't. And I think they feel a little bit of guilt for that, for leaving. And, but you never know. But yeah, like my brother knew somebody that worked at the hospital, his really good friend. And he said, well, she just lives close to here. You could go there and get a shower. I'm like, I don't care how I smell. I'm not leaving here. I'm just not.
Go shower, Heidi.
Yeah, no, I didn't leave. What do you want me to tell people? Everybody, and I said, I'll take hugs, I'll take smiles, and I'll talk about it if I want to. But and people don't really walk up to you in the middle of the hallway and say, hey, what happened? Like that just seems like something that people wouldn't say. But, a lot of people say, I've been thinking about you, or how are you doing? And sometimes I forget and I say I'm doing great because I am at that moment, but then when I like recalibrate, I think, I'm doing well under the circumstances. But, and probably at school isn't going to be the time that I would have a feeling about, except I did have one a couple of Fridays ago. I was at Westview and it was raining, and my usual call on a Friday would be, so what are we having for dinner tonight? Or, and so like that was really, and then I had to be in my car for a while because I was at lunchtime or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm going to need sunglasses to go back in, 'cause, I mean, it was tough, like that whole spark of a memory of like, Friday nights, Friday rainy nights, what's for dinner.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, lyrics are the ones that get me the most.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's this beautiful song by John Craigie called Dissect the Bird. And that was actually this is how I got through Olive's illness, was getting a tattoo sleeve.
Wow.
But he sings, you don't got to be perfect. You don't got to be a saint. Just don't waste this. This was not a mistake. But he has this whole verse. I'll send you the song. This whole verse about, yes, things seem hard, but it's a miracle that you're here. And he sings, civilizations had to crumble, wars had to be fought, good presidents had to be elected, bad presidents had to be shot. And he goes on and on. And he sings, people had to die so your eyes could open. And I think about how I don't think I would have, when my mom passed away, I failed a course. I got pushed back a year. I met my friend Vicky, immediately best friends. And then I went traveling with her. And I met CJ in South Korea.
Nice. Yeah.
Whenever that lyric comes on, I just see Olive in the back and just lose it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how, you could be going to get gas one day and
it just hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see a number or I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know.
I know, just having a purpose and reaching out to someone else. And
it's definitely having a purpose. I wouldn't say that it distracts. It's just that it redefines what you should be thinking, I guess, at that time. I guess it is distractions, another word. But I don't like to think about that because I'm not trying to like erase the pain, or I'm not trying to push the pain away, kind of like compartmentalizing. I'm not trying to really do that. I'm trying to like push through it and take the moments as they come. It's kind of like when my mom passed away and I was going through her art room where she has all her like projects that she was going to do, and I was going through all the drawers to get stuff that I could use, and just seeing all these half done projects. And my mom did a lot of art, but I just kept talking out to the air. Did you really think you were going to get all this done? Like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? And I wasn't shouting. I was just, like stating it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I reached into some fabric and there was a pin sticking in there and it stuck me. And it's like, she was trying to tell me, like, don't think that. I probably would have got those projects done or whatever. And it's kind of the same thing. I've been going through the garage. That was like Ted's domain. And, couple things that I found that are really funny. I think, I found a little Tupperware of Sharpies. And we have Sharpies all over the house. But this was like, okay, you're not taking these Sharpies to school Sharpies, you know? And these are my Sharpies. And then another box that had packing tape in it. And, you know, I'm the one who's mostly sending the packages. But this was like, okay, this is the packing tape that you're not going to use up. Or, you know, like how when you have the beginning of the tape and it's like over the top of that serrated thing. Well, I'm terrible at that. I usually just kind of like let it go back into the tape. So these were like the pristine tape dispensers, but it's all hidden, you know? It's like...
Was he a little OCD?
Well, I think so. He liked everything in a certain way. So, yeah. So now I'm finding all these little... things. And like another thing that was kind of cute that I'm finding now is that if he liked something, he wouldn't just buy like one or maybe even just two, but he would like buy a lot of them. So there's like, I don't know how many pairs of boxer brief underwear I found yesterday, brand new, you know? So, I mean, but just all these things that he really liked that, you know, he wanted to make sure that he didn't run out of. So... But Leonardo da Vinci didn't finish a lot of things, or he took a long time finishing things, and so it's kind of like, well, he was one of the smartest people that ever lived, so it's not like it's always a bad thing.
True. What I really liked too, I was talking to this woman upriver, we were hanging out, and she was showing me some art. I said, "Wow, like there was some paper mache, there was some painting," and I said, "So what's this for?" And she's like, "For me." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, are you going to display it in the restaurant, or I don't know." You made this paper mache head. This is really cool. Yep. And you're not going to, like, there was no plan. Just don't know. Yeah, maybe. Or I might just throw it away. Or she was talking about how she just makes art, like, just draws in the dirt sometimes. And it's really cool. And then just leaves it or erases it. And I don't think I ever do that.
No.
I just, I need to preserve. It's almost like there's a purpose to my art. It's not just to create. So... because I know obviously you do art all the time with the kids,
right?
But do you do art on your own as well?
Sometimes I try to. That's like, but it's kind of one of those things that's pushed off to the last minute, and then if they're just, you know, if the time doesn't permit, then it's not happening. So, yeah, which is unfortunate because that's a great way. I mean, I like to express myself through that and through words, you know, writing poems or whatever. But I just so.
Do you feel like something coming out right now?
Oh yeah,
like,
it's gonna, yeah. Well, it's funny because, I'm in the midst of a children's book writer here in this house, but I have an idea right now to write a children's book about. I have a cat, an exceptional cat, who's been doing a lot of really cool. I mean, just really cool work around helping people grieve and helping people heal and. So anyway, so I'm going to kind of put together some ideas about that and maybe do something with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I actually brought it over to a friend of mine's today who she's a good editor. So she took a look at the ideas. And
oh, nice.
Yeah.
When I was talking with, do you know Sauk Mountain Pottery?
Yeah, I've been driven by there.
Yeah. Nicola and Steve who own it. Steve's amazing and Nicola's fantastic too. She's an author, playwright, all that stuff. And she was telling me that I think it might have started in Seattle, having dogs in courtrooms.
Oh,
to help the victims, you know, just feel better as they're expressing.
Right.
I was just thinking when you were talking about, you know, I was just thinking about people in the hospital. Like, it's really unfortunate that animals aren't very hygienic.
Right.
Wouldn't that be just amazing to have like
a support animal right there?
Yeah. I wonder if that's something that they've ever tried, or
I don't know.
Because aren't there hypoallergenic dogs now?
Yeah.
You know, like
I
don't know. Maybe try that out. But
I mean, that was one of the reasons why he wanted to go home when he was in the hospitals, because he wanted to be with the pets. You know,
really?
Like that's what brought him peace.
Yeah.
Just having the pets there and, you know, surrounding him and lying on his stomach or lying on his chest.
Aw.
Yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Poppy.
Poppy?
Like Papi. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. That's a good point, because I think everybody grieves differently, and you know, I think after, you know, seeing my mom pass away and having to grieve that, the grieving becomes, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's easier in that you know how to deal with it and not like it's a new emotion. So sometimes I wonder if the way I'm grieving, I wouldn't say acceptable, but just like what other people perceive the grief to, you know what I mean? I don't, it's hard to explain.
No,
you
I know
what
what
I mean?
mean.
Like, cause
Yeah.
I'm trying to do more of like celebrating, like my kids and I have been having a really good time, like talking about our memories and doing things that we think that Ted would like. And, you know, I mean, there's crying, but it's not like, you know, there's not a lot of crying, and there's not a lot of, you know, woulda, shoulda, couldas. It's more like, this is what we did. This is what we're going to do to honor him. And it just feels really positive to me. But, you know, like I kind of wonder, you know, kind of what other people, how other people process it. And my dad wrote me this really cool card. I mean, everybody has been writing amazing things, but the thing that, you know, he wrote was really stuck with me. It was something about like, you know, like you're a really strong person and people are going to be looking to you as what to do. You know what I mean? And so you have to like dig in deep and find that strength to be this role model in this time, you know? And so that, you know, so that extends to my kids, and I feel like it also extends to like people who are really good friends with him, and also his sisters and his family, you know, that like, you know, if I'm breaking down and losing it all over the place, then that doesn't make, you know, like that doesn't give this feel of like, okay, we can move on through this, you know what I mean? And so anyway, I would hate to think that anybody would think that it was a cavalier way of, you know what I mean, of dealing with it, because it doesn't feel cavalier at all. It feels like, because he was also not a person of, you know, like pomp and circumstance. He didn't want a lot of fuss made about him. And so like, I think that's the best way for me to honor him is to just really think about like what he would have wanted, how he would have wanted us to be reacting. And celebrating and honoring.
Well, and I mean, also like you can do it however you want.
I know I can, but you know, there's that whole responsibility and the guilt and the shame and all of that you
I know.
bundled up.
It's so hard. Is his family also local?
No, they live in Colorado.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
But it was great because both his sisters, well, his younger sister was there the night with me at the hospital, and I'll never forget that. I mean, that was really, it was amazing. I mean, I could have never done it alone. I mean, so that was cool. And then his older sister flew in the very next day. So, I mean, so supportive and so just, I mean, a real bonding experience. And just, I mean, I'm so thankful to have them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the plaid for Ted.
So that's kind of interesting. So the friend who I mentioned who was taking care of him that weekend, she spent a lot of time with him, and she got to see him probably at his worst. And she came over the day after he passed, or the morning after. She just came in, and this was the amazing thing that people did too, is she just came in. She had a huge bag of groceries and just like, okay, here it is. And there's even some potatoes in here that aren't cooked. You're going to have to do it yourself, but I know you need food. So here it is. Okay. And she said, this is going to be a really hard day for me to go to school, but I'm going to school. And she had a plaid shirt on, and she says, I'm wearing this for Ted. I was like, wait. And she walked away and left. And I said, whoa, that's really cool. That's really cool. That's really cool.
I didn't realize you didn't come up with it.
No.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
So then I was like, okay, I got to do this, you know? And so then I just put it, and that was the other thing, is that I didn't know, I mean, like, I didn't know how to reach out to people, because it just seems like a very strange thing to put. Like, I always kind of bristle when I see the posts on Facebook about dogs. As soon as you see like a dog face or a cat face, you know it's going to be like, my cat passed away or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know if I should do something or when I should do something. But then as people started to find out, a good friend of mine posted like one of those hearts and the fingers things and said, I'm thinking about you. And then people started saying, I'm thinking about you. And then I thought, well, if people see this, they're going to wonder what people are thinking about. So then Ted's sisters and I and my kids, we went back to that hike, Kukatali Point, where he'd lost, like he couldn't breathe because it's such a beautiful place. And we were walking, and I thought, because I had this perfect picture of him facing out to the water. And my dad had just sent me a hospice poem that he'd gotten when my mom passed away. So I was like, okay, this is all gelling. I'm just going to post something. I'm going to just put it out there. And then we all had plaid on. So I was like, we're wearing plaid for Ted, hashtag plaid for Ted. And then Karen Brown put a post on and said, okay, everybody. And she kind of like, she went with it even further and just was like, okay, everybody. And then it just took off. So, I mean, and so I still, like I still try to like wear plaid when I'm hiking or whatever. And it was cute because one of the schools made rocks, and on all the rocks they have his name and then plaid for Ted. Aww. And so I put those out when I hike or whatever. So I did my first one today.
Nice.
But anyway, so that's how it came about. But
cool.
I felt like it was something, like that people could do that wasn't going to make people too sad, and that pretty much everybody has a plaid, and then it just was like it blew up. So I mean, it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I just love it. It makes me feel happy every time I see somebody do it. Just, yeah.
And like you said, it's something so small, and
it is small.
Yeah,
and I don't even know if and that's the funny thing is that he had so many plaids. I mean, every picture, and even
really?
like there's like double plaid shirts. Like I'll have one plaid and a plaid under a plaid, and
double plaid.
Like double plaid. So anyway, so I don't even know. I mean, again, he did not like any kind of ceremony, so I do not know what he would even have thought of plaid for Ted. But it's too bad. I mean, he's not here to weigh in, but
just don't touch my Sharpies.
Yeah, just don't touch his Sharpies. Yeah, or his Tupperware.
His Tupperware.
Oh my gosh. So that was the other thing. I mean, he was a collector of many things. But we went upstairs into the attic, and I knew that was up there, but it was like huge boxes filled with Tupperware. And there's a funny thing is because everybody that not everybody, but a lot of people who would comment, who were kind of like on the periphery of his life. Oh yeah, I remember Ted. I would always run into him at the Goodwill. I'd always run into him doing. And now I know what he was doing at the Goodwill. He was buying Tupperware. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I love those little things that just make you laugh.
And somewhere he also collected spatulas. Like he has seriously his 2 boxes, and I have yet to find them. I have to find them because it's like, where are the spatulas? Like once I brought him to an art class after I had studied, I don't know, one of the artists, and I brought him in, and this was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And all the kids drew a still life of these spatulas, and these are like the really cool handled ones. And then we handed over the spatula art to the cook at the school. I think it was Edison. It was we're flipping out for art or whatever, but it was really cool. But now I can't find those spatulas, so that's my next thing is I have to find them. Yeah, he probably hid them so that I wouldn't like take him to school and lose them, but which I didn't do. But
it's so interesting how you're like rediscovering your parts of your house. It's your house.
I know.
Like it's not Ted's house that he lived in on his own. Like it's your house.
Yeah. But there's hidden things.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Spatulas. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. I'm gonna like not staple them, but attach them all to like the fence. I think I'm gonna do like I was gonna give them away, but see, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that they were hidden because deep down he didn't want them given away, because he always said, I'm going to do some like kind of some art thing.
He knows
these.
You're going to give them away.
Yeah, I'm going to give them away.
Or you're going to use them for art.
Right. So he's like, okay, I'm going to hide them. So when she finally does find them, she's going to have to actually do something with them. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be, fence art.
I love it.
Yeah.
Every time you see it, it'll remind you like you have to mow the lawn today.
Yeah, right. And weed. Well, thanks for this is cool. I was like, I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't take this lightly. You completely opened up, and this may never get out. It might, who knows? But just the fact that you sat down and did this, and thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Heidi.